Hello everyone, I'm Ava, and today I'm going to summarize a movie called Friendzone. The film starts on a beautiful beach in France. Thibaut, who works as a pediatric medical technician and is known among his friends as TT, is the only man in the group that's on vacation for a bachelorette party. The party begins in an instant, with over 100 people attending. Loud music, drinks, dancing, and a DJ fill the atmosphere. The group also hired an exotic dancer named Jordi, whose job is to seduce the bride-to-be. While everyone is enjoying the fun, TT behaves more like a proud parent than a participant. He pulls out his phone and starts recording his friends instead of dancing with them. They toast together before continuing the party until the late hours. At night, the girls run towards the water, laughing and splashing while TT watches them with a smile, sitting on a bench by the shore. They invite him to join them, but he refuses, claiming that he didn't bring earplugs. Although they encourage him several times, he stays on the sidelines, preferring to enjoy his peace while observing them. When the girls finally get tired and gather on the shore to cover themselves, Jordi approaches TT and sits beside him. He starts a conversation, asking him what his plans are for the rest of the evening. TT explains that he plans to read a bit and then go to sleep. When Jordi offers to join him, TT reacts confused, not immediately realizing that he's openly flirting with him. When it finally clicks, he awkwardly apologizes and explains that he's only interested in girls. Jordi leaves, and TT is left pondering the strange encounter. No wonder the girls feel so relaxed in his company. Clearly, he has no experience in flirting. When he realizes that he's completely alone on the beach, he decides to finally get in the water. He takes off his clothes and leaves them on the bench. However, just as he's about to enjoy his swim, the hotel staff arrives to clean the beach. When he tries to call out to the workers to stop them from taking his things, they don't hear him. He approaches to stop them, but at that moment, a girl exits from the hotel. To avoid the awkwardness, he quickly returns to the water and hides the lower part of his body. His clothes end up in the hands of the staff, but he completely forgets about them the moment he spots the girl. Suddenly, the girl screams. She's clearly stepped on a poisonous fish called a sea spider, which injects venom into the body. In pain, she calls for help. Though he hesitates because he's in an uncomfortable situation, TT knows he has no choice. He reveals to her that he's a medical technician and knows how to help. Although she's initially skeptical about the stranger in front of her, the pain forces her to accept his help. He lifts her up and carries her to the hotel. When he sets her down, she cries out in pain again, but finally gives him her room number. After they both change into hotel bathrobes, TT grabs a hairdryer and warms up her foot as heat neutralizes the poison. She soon starts feeling much better. They step out onto the balcony, where she thanks him and introduces herself as Rosa. She then offers him a drink, which he gladly accepts. Feeling comfortable in his company, Rosa shows him her current project, designing baby clothes in different themes. TT is impressed with her work and praises her talent, adding that he will definitely place an order since he works with children. During their conversation, she reveals that she recently broke up with her boyfriend, which is one of the reasons she is staying at the hotel. She is also there for a trade fair where she is showcasing her designs. TT then starts listing reasons why being single is great, just as he feels himself. However, Rosa suddenly feels pain in her foot, so he offers her a massage. After a while, he realizes it's already late and says goodbye to her. The next morning, while checking out of the hotel, TT talks to his friends, Ma, Lulu, and Alex, about Rosa. He tells them what happened, and they immediately start teasing him. In their opinion, Rosa's behavior clearly shows that she likes him, but TT dismisses the idea. He's completely oblivious to the signs. In the city, TT heads to the hospital to start his shift as a medical technician. There, he runs into his colleague Lulu, who once again asks him for help with her rent. Of course, he agrees. He loves helping others. Even though he's great at his job, when it comes to women, he has no clue. While he and Lulu are checking a teenager's vital signs in the ward, TT receives a message from Rosa. They've set up a meeting at 5 p.m. Lulu urges him to reschedule for a later time, insisting that an evening date increases the chances of romance. However, TT doesn't understand what she means at all. Even the teenager calls him out for his cluelessness. Despite their advice, TT sticks to the original plan, gets ready, and arrives in front of Rosa's apartment a little before 5 p.m. He lets her choose what they'll do, and she suggests visiting a clothing sale at a nearby store. When he agrees without hesitation, Rosa is surprised. Her ex-boyfriend, Bruno, never wanted to go shopping with her. In fact, even though they broke up just a few days ago, he has already started posting pictures with another girl. As they talk, Rosa reveals that Bruno was a terrible boyfriend. Later, Alex explains that when someone is in the friend zone, they can't become a boyfriend. As friends, there's no mystery, no flirting, no sexual tension. When TT asks how he can get out of this situation, they honestly tell him it's almost impossible. They start discussing his good qualities, the ones that could attract a woman. However, TT eventually realizes on his own why women only see him as a friend. He's too honest, doesn't know how to say no, and is simply too nice, which, unfortunately, is a turnoff in his case. Determined to change this, they come up with a plan for his complete transformation. Step 1. Disappear. He has to tell Rosa that he'll be gone for a while, and then cut off all contact. No texts, no calls, nothing. The goal is for her to forget their friendship, increasing his chances of escaping the friend zone. Once his transformation is complete, he will return as a new version of himself. Training begins early in the morning, Monday at 6 a.m. When the day finally arrives, TT puts on his workout gear and meets Ma at the park for a run. Annoyed by his lateness, Ma scolds him immediately and starts the training without wasting any time. During their running session, Ma gives TT advice, using the color beige as an analogy for women. He explains that beige goes with everything but is often dull, which is why no one pays special attention to it. During a break, Ma continues with constructive criticism, correcting TT's posture and pointing out that he is afraid to express his emotions. TT always tries to please others instead of being himself. He needs to learn to be honest. TT's second lesson about change comes from Lulu, who takes him to an African dance class. This dance involves close contact with a partner and requires dancers to embrace a sense of intimacy and connection. Lulu pairs him with an experienced dance instructor who guides him through the steps. Although he initially hesitates to even place his hand on her back, he somehow manages to follow the rhythm. But his movements are clumsy, as if he has two left feet. Later, the group gathers at a restaurant to check his progress and start a new lesson with Alex, mastering intimacy. Once again, TT finds himself under pressure, bombarded with harsh but useful comments. Alex advises him to remain mysterious instead of revealing every thought to women. He introduces him to a new technique for winning a woman's heart, strategic pauses, and the rule of using the thumb during intimate moments. They explain that women prefer a quiet, confident, and charismatic man with a touch of mischief. Since TT struggles to grasp the concept, Alex demonstrates an example, but he completely fails. It's clear that he has no clue about romance and seduction. The next day, Alex and Ma take TT to the mall to buy new clothes. Suddenly, TT asks Alex how a woman can truly enjoy intimacy. Alex shares her experience, recalling the moment she knew her husband was the one. She felt it in his words and saw it in his eyes. She warns TT never to tell a woman he loves her unless he truly means it. Over the following weeks, the group puts him through intense training, physical workouts, dance lessons, and intimacy coaching, all to transform him into a more confident version of himself. Their efforts pay off when he manages to catch the attention of influencer Jenny. Suddenly, all women start noticing him, and he even succeeds in getting Jenny's number, something he could never have done before. Feeling ready, the group heads to the grand opening of Rose's new exhibition hall. On the way, they remind TT of the key rules: speak as little as possible and act indifferent toward her. When they arrive, Rose greets him warmly, visibly excited to see him again. He introduces her to his friends, and after a brief conversation, they discreetly step back to leave them alone. Noticing that she's nervous, TT reassures her, telling her she'll do great. She then asks where he has been, and he follows the pre-planned script, saying he was in Siberia, training with local caregivers. Everything is going smoothly until Rose suddenly mentions her boyfriend, Bruno. She reveals that he apologized a month ago, and that they are now living together. TT's smile instantly fades when Bruno appears and embraces Rose. Completely caught off guard, TT doesn't know what to say. Bruno recognizes him as the guy from the beach and even thanks him for helping Rose that day. As Rose walks away, Bruno spots Ma in the crowd. It turns out they know each other from the past. He approaches her with uncomfortable compliments, but Ma immediately shuts him down, making it clear that she's only interested in women. After Bruno leaves, she explains to TT and the others why she despises him. Bruno then steps in front of the guests and gives a toast in honor of Rose's success, but he doesn't miss the opportunity to highlight his own achievements as well. The girls are shocked that Rose is still with him, realizing that all their efforts with TT were in vain. TT struggles to process it all. Heartbroken and feeling abandoned, he decides to meet up with Jenny. They begin to get to know each other on a much deeper level. Although she is known as an influencer, Jenny prefers serious guys and avoids superficial relationships. However, TT, who is now a completely different person, easily convinces her to break her own rules. He lied about his intimate life to persuade her to sleep with him. While they were being intimate in the hospital, 2 children saw them. Lulu, who had seen Jenny leaving the storage room and treating herself the previous night, tells Ma and Alex everything. From that information, they immediately figure out what happened, even though it's hard for them to believe. Ma also exposes Bruno, revealing that he won't stop messaging her despite being in a relationship with Rose. A few seconds later, TT arrives with Jenny and introduces her to everyone. The new couple suddenly starts showing affection in front of everyone. Alex and Lulu avert their gazes, while Ma watches them in surprise. When Jenny excuses herself, saying she needs to disinfect, TT thanks everyone for their help. But the girls remain skeptical. Their relationship seems rushed. They had planned to have lunch together, but Jenny eats gluten-free, and the menu doesn't suit her. Before leaving, Jenny convinces them to take a group photo. Being in a relationship with an influencer isn't easy. TT becomes her personal assistant and photographer. He helps her with social media content and everything else. His world now revolves around her, and their relationship reduces the time he spends with his friends. Rose tries to reach him, but her calls always go to voicemail. She also checks Jenny's posts and notices that TT doesn't look happy in the pictures. Deep down, he still wants Rose. Due to Jenny's hectic schedule, TT starts feeling exhausted from keeping up with her at social gatherings. Jenny's life revolves around seeking validation from millions of followers, and TT is forced to go along with it, even when he doesn't feel like it. After not hearing from him for a while, Rose decides to visit him at the hospital. It's been a long time since they last saw each other. The last time was at her event. In the middle of their conversation, TT receives a flirty message from Jenny, and Rose catches a glimpse of the screen. She grabs his phone for a better look, but he stops her. This prompts her to ask what it's like to be in a relationship with someone like Kim Kardashian. TT says he's having fun, then throws the question back at her about Bruno, calling him a jerk, just as she had once described him. Rose takes offense at his comment, telling him they don't owe each other any explanations. She points out that they can remain friends even if they're both in new relationships. However, the bitterness of seeing Rose with Bruno still eats away at him, so he snaps that he's not always available to act the way she wants. Rose doesn't understand what he means, but he brushes it off, saying it's nothing important. Concerned that something is bothering him, Rose asks if he's okay and calls him TT, as always. However, he cuts her off, asking her to call him by his real name, TBO. Rose sighs in disbelief before saying goodbye, noticing that he doesn't seem happy to see her. Hidden behind the door, Lulu eavesdrops on their conversation and immediately informs the others outside. At the hospital, TT notices Lulu talking to Ma and Alex about his conversation with Rose. When TT asks what they're doing, Lulu explains that she saw Rose rushing out of the hospital, so they told her the whole story. TT admits that he was harsh with Rose, who only wanted to talk, but his naivety prevents him from recognizing that Rose is jealous of Jenny. Lulu has to emphasize this once again because, ever since TT has been with Jenny, he hasn't called Rose or given her any attention. TT doesn't see things the way they do, so he is completely confused. They start comparing TT's feelings for Jenny and Rose. It's obvious that he is madly in love with Rose, even though he claims to like Jenny. Rose, on the other hand, is still with Bruno, but thanks to Ma, they manage to uncover his fantasies about lesbians. Now they know that Rose has feelings for TT, and they finally have proof of it. Bruno is truly a jerk, and Lulu has come up with a plan to open Rose's eyes by using Jenny to stir things up. Alex and TT are against the idea. They can't play with Jenny's feelings. It's easy to say, but it goes against TT's moral principles. Ma, however, agrees with Lulu. Knowing Jenny, who has plenty of guys competing for her, she can handle a broken heart if it means the plan succeeds. For it to work, Ma needs to catch Bruno in a lie. They need solid proof. If everything goes well, TT might finally get a chance with Rose and embrace the feelings he has been hiding for so long. After much convincing, TT agrees. The first step is to apologize to Rose. He visits her shop with a picnic basket and admits he was wrong. He explains that he's been avoiding her because she got back together with Bruno, but in a friendly, concerned way. They exchange apologies and share a hug, and TT invites her to the masquerade ball, telling her to bring Bruno along. As he leaves, TT mentions that he's going on a picnic with Jenny. Rose looks a bit confused. Maybe she thought the invitation was for her. The party is already in full swing by the time Rose and Bruno arrive. Not even a minute after arriving, Bruno starts complaining, clearly unhappy about being there and mocking TT. Rose reassures him that they won't stay long, but Bruno quickly changes his attitude when he sees the true atmosphere of the party. He expected kids in costumes, but instead, people are dancing and drinking. Alex spots Rose and signals for them to come over, greeting her with a friendly kiss. Bruno is even more shocked when he realizes that TT is in a relationship with Jenny. They exchange greetings and TT introduces them to Jenny. Jenny steps aside to make a few social media posts. She needs to recover the money she spent on the party. Meanwhile, Rose and TT start catching up. Bruno leaves to get more drinks, but his real intention is to check out the other women. TT tells Rose how proud he is of her success. She impressed a client at her event, but she couldn't accept their offer because it would require her to move to Spain. Since Bruno runs his business there, she couldn't go. Still, it was a huge achievement for her. Jenny then calls TT to join her for a live video from the party. He's hesitant, but Rose encourages him to go. Now, it's time to set up Bruno. Rose is left alone, and her boyfriend is drunk. Lulu and Alex offer Ma a shot for encouragement. They plan to take some compromising pictures with Bruno. Even though Ma is disgusted, she's willing to do it for TT and the plan. Alex approaches Rose and asks if she can bring something to TT's room. Rose happily agrees. Meanwhile, Lulu accidentally spills her drink on Jenny out of frustration, prompting Jenny to leave. Lulu then informs TT that Rose is on her way to his room. TT heads off, while a satisfied Lulu takes her place, holding a glass of champagne. Meanwhile, Rose enters TT's room, smiling as she looks at his pictures. TT arrives and sees her holding a photo of him with a patient. She asks him why he chose this job, and he replies that children see him for who he is. They don't have to pretend. Rose then notices a poster from the dance classes TT took with Lulu. She never knew he could dance, except TT learned just to impress her. As TT shows Rose how to dance, Ma starts luring Bruno in. He takes the bait instantly. Meanwhile, Lulu records from a distance, pretending to film a video with Alex while subtly capturing Bruno's actions in the background. Once she gets the perfect moment on camera, Alex and Lulu signal Ma, who quickly leaves, abandoning the drunk Bruno on the dance floor. Lulu then hits the upload button, making sure everyone can see. Back in the room, tension between TT and Rose builds as they continue dancing. However, Rose has no intention of cheating on Bruno. She asks TT to rejoin the others at the party. On the way back, Rose sees Bruno, with his pants down, exposing himself to Ma. His own recklessness costs him the relationship. Rose storms off without waiting for an explanation. She walks past Alex and Lulu, who are visibly confused. Then Ma pulls back the curtain, revealing a half-naked Bruno to the entire party. The guests' reactions grow louder than the music itself. TT runs after Rose to check if she's okay. At one point, Rose asks him to hold her. He leans in for a kiss, but she rejects him. Feeling insulted, she becomes furious when TT admits he doesn't care about Jenny. To Rose, it seems like TT just wants to sleep with her. She tells him to leave. When TT finally reaches his apartment, Jenny is already there, waiting for him. She demands an answer. Will he leave her for Rose? There's no point in lying. TT gives her a simple answer. Yes. In a rage, Jenny slaps him and starts kicking him. She storms off, cursing and knocking over trash cans as she goes. The girls hear the commotion and rush to help TT. He explains what happened with Rose, and they immediately start giving him advice. However, TT refuses to listen. Frustrated, he lashes out at them, tired of always following their plans and trying to be the good guy they expect him to be. To him, their plan was a failure. He became a bad person and was even cast out as Rose's friend. TT spends the following days alone, avoiding his friends and handling everything on his own. Lulu, however, can't stand seeing him like this, so she decides to reconcile. She also informs him that Alex is now expecting a baby and is in the hospital with Ma. With newfound courage, TT apologizes for everything he said. He also learns that Rose is moving to Spain for work. At first, TT isn't affected by her departure. He says he's happy for her, but after seeing a young couple in love, he changes his mind. He has to see Rose. TT runs with a huge smile on his face, but suddenly, an ambulance speeds by and hits him. The scene then cuts to his funeral. All his friends, including Jenny and Rose, gather to mourn him. The priest lists his good deeds as everyone cries. Jenny, unable to suppress her influencer instincts, takes a photo, even on his final day. But God has other plans. TT wakes up in a hospital bed, wearing a neck brace. Outside, friends talk to his doctor. Although injured, he survived. He immediately asks the girls for the date and time and remembers that today is Rose's moving day to Spain. The girls secretly take him out of the hospital in a wheelchair so he can go see her. Wobbling due to his leg injury, TT arrives at Rose's apartment. However, Rose doesn't want to see him, despite the fact that he was hit by a car. She shuts the door on him when he tries to enter. After asking for the new entry code from the big guys helping Rose, TT gets thrown out again, but he doesn't plan to give up. He climbs onto the roof of a van and calls out to Rose. He confesses the truth, that he did all of this for her because he loves her. He begins an emotional speech as everyone watches. Rose hesitates a little, knowing that she'll be far away from him, but TT is willing to go great distances for love. He declares that he will move to Spain with her. In the end, Rose gives in and tells him the code. TT immediately jumps off the van and runs toward her as if his leg had suddenly healed. They share a passionate kiss while everyone in Barcelona cheers. TT promises to return to France when Alex gives birth and to be the godfather. Their video call ends when Rose throws her bra at him, encouraging him to swim with her. The movie ends with TT carrying his girl towards the water, finally escaping the friend zone. That's all for this movie. Subscribe to the channel and like the video, and I'll see you in the next ones.